Musings of an Extrovert. My name is Darvin. I am your resident extrovert, and I am your host. I am excited because today I have another interview, another Co-Muse, as I like to call it. And I'm excited because this person is someone that you all love if you know her. If you've met her, you know she is one of the sweetest, gentlest, kindest, and funniest souls you will ever meet. And she's the best. And I have the pleasure of being the person that she has chosen to spend the rest of her life with. So without further ado, here's my fiance, my bride-to-be, Liahna.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You know that.
Yeah, we've been together all
Yeah, we've been
day.
together for a while. Yeah, let's jump right in because we don't
Awesome.
have a lot of time today. But we want to get to this because we've already tried recording this a couple times. Let me tell you guys, this has been a struggle. So I just got my new microphone so we can work on some stuff. And actually my old condenser microphone is actually having some issues. So if you would like to support the channel, I would really appreciate it. I just bought a new microphone, but if I'm going to need another microphone, I'm definitely going to need your support to do it. So please go to my podcast website, and you can go to muentesco.com/products and purchase any merch that you see on the site, and that would help us, as well as go ahead and purchase the blanket. The blanket is a great gift option for people. It can help get the word out, and it's just a nice, cool color of a blanket. Liahna really likes it, and she actually told me earlier when we tried to do this interview earlier, she said that she really wanted the blanket. She actually asked you guys to gift it to us when we get married, so that's funny to me. But yeah, if you would like to get that as a gift for your grandma, your grandma's uncle, your crazy Uncle Steve, like, go ahead and get a blanket off my site, and help support the channel. You can also, if you don't want to go buy a product, that is okay. You can also donate to Wentes & Co. If you didn't know. That rhymed. I'm a poet and I didn't even know it.
Again. It just rhymed again.
Oh yeah, I tried that time though.
Okay, good.
So you can actually there's a link button. It looks on Google Podcasts. It looks like a little world. Don't know what it looks like on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, but you can actually go to my Red Circle website and you can donate to the podcast. So please go ahead and do that if you would like to support the channel. So before we get started in what we're going to talk about, please like and subscribe and hit that bell notification if you're listening on YouTube. That way you get notified every single time that we drop an episode. So, Liahna, tell me, we're going to talk about kind of our upbringings, and kind of what those really did for us growing up. So please tell me a little bit about how you grew up, mainly like a bunch of different places that you grew up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, definitely Darvin and I had very different experiences when it came to like where we lived and how many places we lived growing up. So I was born in Minnesota, and my dad worked in ministry. He previously had been in the Marine Corps, and just with like some turn of events around when I was 8, he decided to go back into the military, and this time he chose to go into the Navy and be a chaplain and use his ministry experience in the military world. So with that, we moved to Yuma, Arizona. So from freezing cold Minnesota, blizzards, to 130-degree summers in Yuma. But we had an incredible time there, great community, just really cool food, and just a really cool, fun experience. And then we headed to North Carolina, so from West Coast to East Coast. And we had a wonderful experience on base. It was a little bit bigger, and so there were schools on base, DoD or Department of Defense schools. That was fun. Really enjoyed my culinary arts class there, which Darvin knows all about. I've told him stories from that class a million times.
Yeah, it has been a million times. It's funny, when we did this episode earlier, tried doing this episode earlier, I brought one of my really, really great buds, Jerison, into it, because whenever I would share, so I'm similar to Liahna in the sense that I will share one story like 30 million times. I always find the story interesting. That's the only reason why I'm sharing it 30 million times. But I share it over and over, and he would always give me this look as though he didn't know what the punchline was going to be, but in a sarcastic manner, because he did know what the punchline was going to be. He did know what the end of the story was, because he has heard it 30 million times from me. So, I always joke around about that with you.
Yeah.
You always tell stories about the Bananas Foster.
Yep.
About how your teacher always sings Happy by Pharrell. And yeah.
Yeah, I just love telling you things that I find super funny, and that class just had a lot of funny moments. My teacher was just a character, and so it was fun. That was a really cool place. And then I think probably the biggest and most it wasn't like that challenging, but the most quote unquote challenging move was the next one, which we moved from North Carolina up here to Virginia Beach, and it was just mostly, more difficult because of like the time frame that it was. It was right after my sophomore year in high school, and I was like going from a school of 500 kids to a school around here with 2,000 kids, and so
wow.
A lot of you know the type of personality that I have. It's more reserved and just more quiet. Like, I love talking to people, and I do like people to feel welcome, but I'm not one that will like go into a big crowd and like scream or like want all the attention or something.
You mean you don't just go right in the middle of a crowd and just scream?
No. I don't do that kind of thing. Like, and I'll just.
I was being funny because
Darvin does that.
Don't do that. I don't do that. I don't go into the middle of a crowd and just scream.
Well, more like you would be able to like go easier into a crowd and like.
And I'm more likely to be loud in a crowd.
Be louder. Like, people would see you. People would notice you. People like would not notice me that much.
Oh, they notice you. They notice you, and I think that's a false statement. That it's you don't seek to be noticed, but people notice you.
Yeah. I
have a personality that does seek to be noticed, and it's not necessarily that I'm like consciously like, oh, I need people to notice me, but I just have a loud personality, and loud personalities like for people to recognize the loud personality. You have a very soft personality, and you don't like for you to be like recognized within the crowd. You like to be a part of the crowd. Yeah, just like on the outskirts. I always like to like go into crowds and like see if there's anybody who's just on their own and like comfort them, or like not comfort, but just like talk to them to make them feel like they had a friend. But yeah, so like that move, I knew it was going to be like a much bigger school that I was going to, so I really like chose to get involved in things, and I just chose to like talk to people and make friends. And yeah, I mean, it ended up being okay. I did meet friends. It had a great church experience, and with all of that too, like being towards the end of high school, decided to stay in the area for college, and then after college, I've decided to stay too after my parents moved to a new base. But yeah, and so that was, I guess, my upbringing. Lots of change, lots of
move. And that's just very different. Darvin will tell you a little bit just about his.
Yeah. When I grew up in Lebanon, Pennsylvania is a small town, and it's in a string of a bunch of small towns. And I loved growing up there. It was a really great place to grow up. But I didn't move a lot like you. I actually had one place that I grew up in, and that's what I grew up in for most of my life. So I don't like moving around a lot. I don't like taking on new adventures, as people would call it, which I'm sure they are adventures, but they're also the loss of like stability and constancy.
Yep.
And I like stability and constancy.
Yep.
I think stability and constancy helps you build things.
Yeah.
And sets good foundations for you to build things. When you don't have those, you kind of are left to. You can build some other things that are kind of transcendent, but you can't build things like a legacy within one place.
Sure.
You know, you kind of lose that ability when you are going around to a lot of different places. So I don't like that idea, and I don't crave that.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do crave that, and that's great. And I think we need people like that, but I think we also need people like me who want to build in one place. So yeah, I don't like moving because of that, because I saw what it was like to live in one place for most of my life.
Yeah.
And to see the families and the generations that were able to be there. You know, I think about this sometimes, is that like I have friends here in Virginia Beach who have had, you know, one generation, two generations, 3, 4, 5 generations that have lived in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Have lived in this area. And they've all had their grandparents around them. They've all had their parents, their parents' parents, their parents' parents' parents around them. And so they're all able to see kind of this like family unit grow over time in that one space. And I didn't have that. I had my parents and then my cousins.
Yep.
But my grandparents were always an ocean away. And so like I, you know, only saw them every now and then. You know, they came to visit every now and then. You know, and it always takes a lot for them to be able to come to visit.
Yeah.
Especially my grandma from Ecuador. So I kind of like the idea of being able to be planted in one place, because then for my kids and their kids in the future, regardless of, you know, we want a lot of kids. We've talked about that. We've talked about how we want, you know, 10 kids is like our big number.
Everybody write that down.
Write it down. Yep. You got a lot of gifts to get our kids. We're going to need a lot of diapers, but preferably the cloth diapers was what we talked about. So, but yeah, like, we might have like 5, 6, 7 of those kids that move away, and then, you know, 3 of them that stay in Virginia Beach, which just means we have a lot of vacation homes to go to.
And like those really cool long tables, the brown and wood tables.
Yeah.
Not brown, just wood.
We have a lot of vacation homes as long as our kids are being financially responsible. So, and hopefully we'll train them to be financially responsible. But yeah, we'll like, even if 3 kids stay in Virginia Beach and then their kids grow up here and they stay here, you know, that's at least 3 generations right there. Of people in this one place, and that'll grow. So, you know, I think there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah, there really is. And the other part of just being in a place for longer and like being around your family is there are just people who know you. Yeah. And like there's just always someone to hang out with too.
Yeah.
Yeah, also like when I was living in Minnesota for the first 8 years, that's where like most of my family does live, extended family. And so it was fun, like growing up with having them close by. And, you know, when we got into the military and moved, it was tough. It was like tough to like celebrate holidays more alone, because we used to just mostly travel in the summers, and we wouldn't really go during the short Christmas breaks. And friends can become family, but there is something about family being in an area, like your family being there. So, yeah, definitely we both like stability and all of that. But also, too, I definitely am open if the Lord does say another place, like down the road. I'm not going to say, no, I have to just stay here. I think that is something that I did learn with, my parents deciding to get into the Navy. Like, that's what they felt the Lord saying, even though it meant moving away from their family, their sisters and brothers and all of that. And, in life, it is so much more important to choose to say yes to what the Lord has for us.
Yeah.
And, He is our ultimate family. He's our ultimate comfort, no matter what we end up doing as, jobs, careers, or places that we live. Like, He's our home.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's important too. I don't want my listeners to hear me saying that, like, I want to decide where I'm going to be.
Sure.
Like, I love Virginia Beach, and I think that the Lord has called me here. And I feel like He's very clearly called me here, and He's confirmed that by all of the opportunity that He's given for ministry and to actually train youth and be a part of their stories. I'll be starting helping with Norfolk Christian's volleyball team soon, their boys volleyball team, and training up these young men to be Christian first, to be believers who trust in Jesus first. And I don't know all the boys, so I'm sure there's probably some boys that don't know the Lord, that are there because their parents want them to get a Christian education, and I want to see them come to know Jesus. And then secondarily, to make them excellent volleyball players, hopefully see some of them go to play D1 volleyball, and that'll, what are you laughing at? She's laughing right now.
The way you said secondarily instead of secondly or something was just funny to me.
I think the word is secondarily. It's not.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it's secondly.
We'll have to look that one up because I'm not sure if
I
agree.
I'll look it up right now. I will look it up right now. What is the word? The word is secondarily. As a secondary or less important factor, secondarily.
I have actually never heard that used before.
I'm a linguist.
Darvin has taught me a lot of stuff, and he is a linguist. And also, when we were first getting to know each other, one time I told him that I really enjoyed spelling tests growing up, and here Darvin goes, pulling up all these really tough words.
What was the first word, xanthosis?
Yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Babe, I pulled that one up only because it's a reference to a movie. If anyone out there knew exactly what I was referring to, thank you for knowing it. But it's a reference to a movie. Have you ever seen Akeelah and the Bee?
Mm-mm.
No,
I haven't seen that.
Well, it's about this young black girl who gets into a spelling bee, and she is like a super great speller.
Aww.
And she like goes all the way, and I think they tie at the very end because I think they try to split it together. But basically, she like kicks butt. And
oh wow.
One of the words that her trainer tells her is xanthosis, and that was the word that he couldn't spell when they asked him to spell it.
Darn, if I would have seen that movie, then I would have been able to spell that word.
Well, you would have been able to spell it, but you also would have been able to be like, oh, you've seen that movie too?
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, we will have to watch it. The problem is, I have not seen a lot of movies. So, Darvin knows this too. I'm not the most, I'm patient, but I just cannot sit still that much. She cannot
sit still, and she cannot watch a movie without saying something every 5 seconds, which I try to be patient about. And I hope you feel that
he is. But I realized after a little while, oh, he actually really does get into movies and likes to watch them. So either I need to just kind of have something else to do beside me, or something to look at or I just need to like learn how to be able to watch movies.
It's funny because when we were first starting to date, I had you over and we were watching a movie. We were watching a TV show, and you kept on talking about stuff, but you always choose the moments in the TV show where something is important to the plot line to say something. You don't take the transition scenes. You do not use those to have the conversation. You use the times when they're literally saying something like, she died on Tuesday. Your mother died on Tuesday. And you'd be like, oh, did you know this week I had to get this done at this place? And I'll be like, yeah, uh-huh. And I'm like trying to listen to them talk about his mother dying on Tuesday, and you're here talking about something that you need to get done this week.
The thing is, I'm really not into the stuff that's happening, so I don't even really understand that something serious is happening until I see your face. You actually act really nice, but I can tell like you're like just intent. And so it's like a serious part. But yeah, that's something about me.
You've gotten better at it.
Yeah, I think that's part of relationship too. It's like learning different things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would say I'm like pretty patient in some areas, but that is just like, I don't know, I cannot sit still there. Maybe that doesn't mean I'm not patient. It's just like I have a hard time focusing on some stuff.
Yeah, you have a hard time focusing on the movie, which can be a couple things. Like, do you not like movies? Do you not like sitting to watch a movie?
Yeah, I feel like and maybe this is something I have to continue to work on too. I just feel like I have a lot of other stuff to do. My friend Nikki and I, Nikki too, they're our great friends, her and her husband, who, Darvin's going to have on the podcast soon.
Oh yeah, I'm going to have Aaron on the podcast.
Yeah.
I was just smirking, but I wasn't smirking at that. I was smirking at something else. Anyway, you go ahead.
But Nikki and I were talking about the fact that like both of us, we just have a lot of things on our mind at a lot of times, and just like, sometimes as women, and also, I mean, I bet this can happen to guys too, you just get so wrapped up in like all the responsibilities that you have. And sometimes maybe like a long movie is like, it feels like so long to like be away from doing something quote unquote productive.
Yeah.
But Darvin has taught me, and just like, reading the Bible tells you that rest is worship too, and rest is good and helps you to be able to do the other stuff better.
Yeah, and I also think too, like if you think about any other leisurely thing you do, you have those other productive things that you could be doing while you're doing that leisurely thing. So what makes the TV or a movie or a TV show different from doing this other leisurely thing, like knitting, for instance? Knitting. I
don't knit.
Well, I know you don't knit, but I'm just using it as an example. Like someone finds enjoyment, and they can find some like fun in producing something with it, and they could not even be producing anything that they even need. So therefore, it does not fit under the being productive because they need to get this done.
That's true.
It's just leisure is what it is. And knitting, why devote the time to knitting?
That's true.
Why devote the time to reading? Why devote the time to listen to a podcast like our podcast, which you should devote time to listen to Musings of an Extrovert, because it's a great podcast. But why devote that time? It's leisure. Sometimes you're getting information out of it, but most people when they go and listen to a podcast, they're not coming into listening to the podcast looking to gain information to then use in their day because they need to get it. It's in their leisure, they are in it, and it has that benefit of getting more information. And I think there's a lot of things that are like that. TV, movies, those are kind of on the other end of the spectrum where they are much more simply just leisure. You're not getting any information. Though I would say this, that if you're watching TV and movies nowadays, you are getting what the worldviews are of those people that are making those movies. And so, when you're watching Disney today, you're getting a lot of what their worldview is now compared to what their worldview was in the past. The worldviews that they were espousing on their movies in the past versus today. And all other places, you get the same thing. You can watch one TV show from this channel and it have the worldviews and the ideas and what people think are good and bad involved in that TV show, and then being played out in the way that the characters actually live out their lives. And then you could see a totally different thing on another TV show. So I think there's still actually some value, some productive value in watching movies and TV shows. You just find more of that productive value in other things that you do for leisure. And that's okay.
Yeah, I think I like TV shows. Like, I did grow up, like, I like doctor shows, and I like to watch those with you. I think it's just the length of movies. It's just, like, a little bit long.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was an interesting thought. Very interesting.
Yeah. So we don't have a lot of time tonight, so I just wanted to get some of that out to the world, so they can know kind of that's just one difference between Liahna and I, is her moving from place to place and then me staying in one place most of my life. But there are plenty of differences between Liahna and I. And when I say that, I'm saying that with all the love and tenderness that I can, because I love Liahna. I love her with my entire life, and I'm so excited that I get to devote my entire life to her, to serve her and to love her, and to lift her up above myself. But I really do see it. Like, I see that reality of you being such a different person from me, and those two things coming together. We still have so many things that we are similar in too. Don't get me wrong. Like, we have foundations that make it a relationship viable for us, but and not just viable, but like flourishing for us. But I do see all those differences that people always talk about within healthy marriages.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and like, just too, like, in general, men and women are just very different.
Yeah.
But then, yes, we have a different set of personality traits.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that complement each other so wonderfully.
Yeah, I think they do too. And I think a lot of other people see it as well. You were saying that the other day, when we were sitting on the phone talking, as disgusting couples do. We were just chatting for hours and hours, and I pulled up some pictures and I was just sending them to you, and one of them was when we went to Barrel 17. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's
Barrel
true.
17. And at Barrel 17, Alex, Bartlett, and Guy were there. And Alex said to Liahna that night, what did she say?
She was like, "You guys are just so perfect together." And she was like, "Oh, knowing Darvin back in college, like, all the things he wants, you're just so perfect for him." Something like that.
Yeah. But like, I think not even just I feel like the word perfect can oftentimes be like, turn people away from like, oh, that's such a like pipe dream type thing. But I think we complement each other very well. And I think, you compliment me in a lot of ways. And I compliment you in a lot of ways. And I just thought about this. So lava, it only forms into rock when it's cooled down. And it can be cooled down very slowly. But it can also be cooled down very quickly. And if you pour water on lava, that will instantly make the top part hard rock. And like, I feel like that's us, is like, you take your pick. You're the lava, I'm the water. And I bring the cool down to you, and we make something solid
Mm-hmm.
together. And if we want to keep with the analogy, I'm the lava because I'm like crazy, and lava's hot. Okay, here's my science nerd coming out. So hot things are moving very, very quickly. All the molecules in something hot are moving ridiculously quickly, and all the molecules in something cold are moving ridiculously slow.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why you get ice, because the molecules aren't moving very much.
Mm-hmm.
They're staying in one place and just vibrating in place together. Versus in water, those molecules are moving all over the place, and that's why you get water. And then even further, when you get a gas, it's because those molecules are now outrageously moving all along. So I'm the crazy one moving all over the place. You're the cool one, calm and collected, and we're making something solid together.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
nerd had to come out. Yeah, well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you guys for joining us on Musings of an Extrovert and an Introvert.
Yep.
And
if you didn't figure that out already, that's what I am.
Yeah, I am excited to continue doing these interviews. Look out, because we have this interview this week. We have another interview with Ari Jones next week. And then we have another interview with Aaron Runzo the next week. And potentially another interview with a guy named Joel Baumberger in Pennsylvania. He's a really great guy. He's doing some awesome stuff with some churches in PA. And so while we're in Pennsylvania, I might do that interview. So we'll see. I'm waiting on him to respond. But yeah, we might have that coming down the pipeline. But we have interviews coming down the pipeline. And I'm excited to share these people with you. So if you like the show, please like and subscribe. And I would like to add this too. We talked about this earlier, that I'd love to do more interviews with Liahna, and we'd love to share our relationship with you guys. So if you have any questions that you would like to pose to Liahna and I, things that if you're a married couple and you listen to this and you have some questions about like just some personality stuff about us, that are funny questions to put us against each other in a funny way. Please, no mean ways, but funny ways. We'd love to answer those questions. Mm-hmm. We'd love to laugh. And yeah, if you just have any questions for us, how long our hair was in high school or in middle school, or any funny stuff that you want to ask, please go to wentesco.com/podcast and then go to the Ask Me Anything button and then submit a request. And then just follow Liahna on Instagram. She's awesome. She makes good Instagrams. Oh, and we are going to start selling biscuits soon. So if you would like to order some biscuits, go ahead and message Liahna on Instagram. We will be selling six biscuits. Is that what we're planning on doing? I think it's six biscuits.
Yeah, like 6 at a time.
6 at a time, and we'll have pricing out soon. But they are fantastic. You can put them in the freezer and then take them out and put them in the microwave, and they microwave so good. And let me tell you, I hate microwave food. I do not like microwave food, like with a vengeance. And when I tried these biscuits that Liahna made for me, I was dumbfounded. I put it in the microwave and then I tried it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So they're called Lee's Biscuits and they are so good. So if you want to place an order, a pre-order of them, we will fulfill that order and you can have your first order of Lee's Biscuits, and you can get on a running rotation of orders of those biscuits. So please reach out and we'll get you these biscuits soon. So thank you for joining us. My name is Darvin Wentes.
And I'm Liahna.
And that was Musings of an Extrovert and an Introvert. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Bye.